Alors, bonsoir, Annie. Good evening, and welcome to our April 6th meeting of your council. Before I turn over the meeting to the Deputy Mayor, I just want to give a shout out to our French River Rapids. I know there's people here now, so while there's still people here, I want to acknowledge the fact that they are in the playoff and they won their first round and will be beginning their second round. So we, on behalf of council, I wish them some great luck and hopefully we'll bring the trophy back home. So with that, Renee, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. I would like to begin the meeting with acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Robinson-Huron Treaty area and wish to recognize their neighboring community of Dookies First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation people that call this land home. So I will start with 3, the adoption of the agenda. I need a mover and seconder, Randy and Richard.
Duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Does anybody have all in favor? Number 4, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Delegations. We have none set for today. So we'll continue on. 6.1, we have reports and items for consideration. A resolution to receive the Integrity Commissioner Services 2021 annual report. I need a mover and a seconder. Dave and Dean. Do you want to, Commissioner? The Integrity Commissioner report? Yeah.
Duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that council receives the 2021 Integrity Commissioner Services annual report dated March 25th, 2022.
So just to advise, there was nothing on the report from the commissioner. So for the year. So all in favor? Richard, did you have a comment? Okay, go ahead.
The question I have is, although the service is on a needs basis, do we have any fees at all associated with that on an annual basis? Or is it just if there's a request for any services?
To answer your question is just to, the only fees are if there's any complaints.
All in favor? We'll continue on. 6.1.2, a resolution to adopt the use of the corporate resources for election purposes policy as amended. I need a mover. Richard and Dave. Melanie's going to speak to this.
Thank you. So the use of corporate resources policy is through the elections, the municipality is prohibited from contributing to election campaigns for candidates, which includes money or any resources that the municipality has. So any goods or services to any candidate, registered third party, or any political party. So this policy is necessary to safeguard the interests of the municipality and to preserve public trust and the overall integrity of the elections process. It also measures that all candidates are treated equally, fairly, and consistently within the municipality. So this policy was first enacted in 2010. So with every election, I review to make sure that it meets any legislative changes or policies. Last election, there was no changes, but with this election, there was, it was recommended to add some definitions and address new technologies that are available now. Any new communication systems and as I was reviewing it, I also found other wording that could be improved. So you have a copy of the amendments and changes. I don't know if you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Melanie? Okay. Oh,
Through you, Madam Chair, just a
Councilman
quick,
Randy.
to you, Madam Chair, just a quick question for the clerk. So are we going to move forward with the paper ballot mail-in, same as last year then? Or have we decided about any changes at this point, just for the public's knowledge?
Yes, thank you, through the chair. So council has decided to conduct the elections for 2022 through telephone and internet voting. No paper.
No paper.
Yeah.
And for those who can't access, they'll still have the option of coming to the municipality to vote. We'll have a computer set up here, I believe, that people can do their voting here in person if that's what they choose to do.
Yes.
Some of the older people and even some of the younger people might want to come physically and vote. So, but this way we're giving the option to everybody.
So in a subsequent meeting, I will be reporting to council on the method. So we just signed off with the provider just recently. Staff is currently receiving training and going through the processes and setting up the timelines. So I will be reporting to council with it's like little webinars. How do you call that?
Training.
Like little training videos or how-tos, and so I will be bringing those up. They will be on the website as well, and so I'm going to be further reporting to council soon.
Do you have a resolution for this now?
Yes. So it is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that council adopts the use of corporate resources for election purposes policy as amended and dated April 6, 2022.
All in favor? 6.2 finances, 6.2.1, a resolution to adopt the tax ratios bylaw. I did? Oh, the AMO conference. 6.1.3, resolution to approve attendees at the AMO conference, August 14th to 17th, hosted by the city of Ottawa. So I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Randy and Counselor Dave.
So at this time, I have two names that have been brought forward. So I have Renee and Giselle. Is there anybody else that was interested in attending? So it is being held August 14th to the 17th, and it's hosted by Ottawa. Dave? Okay.
When is the deadline, Mel?
Can verify just a few minutes. That's in August, so it would be probably in the next month or so.
Okay. It'll be nice to have an in-person conference. Everything's been through Zoom for the last. Oh. The first year, yeah.
So the early bird ends May 13th.
The 19th?
No, the early bird fee,
Fees?
like
Yeah.
the rates, the early bird rates end on May 13th. I
So
don't
you
know if
guys-
there's a deadline. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So if somebody changes their mind.
Mhm.
Okay, so do we have a resolution?
Yes. So it is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that council approves the attendance of the following members of council at the AMO 2022 Annual General Meeting and Conference held August 14th to the 17th, hosted by the city of Ottawa. So we have Renee, Giselle, and Dave.
All in favor? Okay, 6.2 finances, 6.2.1, a resolution to adopt the tax ratios bylaw. One more. Bob.
Thank you for paying
Okay.
attention. Thank you for paying attention to the agenda.
How come- Oh, yeah.
So yes, I
discussion.
did add a note to the agenda just to start the discussion about, since most of council or several members will be at the conference, which is ending on the day that the meeting is held that evening. So I could bring a resolution at the next meeting to move the August 17th meeting to the following week, to the following Wednesday. So I'll bring that forward at the next meeting.
Okay, are we good now? I'm anxious to get the taxes over and done with. Can you tell? So Mark, 6.2.1, a resolution to adopt the tax ratios bylaw.
Thank you. This is a yearly bylaw that is done every year to establish tax ratios for calculating the final tax rates. The ratios have not changed from last year. So these are the same ratios as last year and the year before. And these are calculated using the Ministry of Finance online property tax analysis tool. So there's no changes from last year.
It is duly moved and seconded, but resolved that bylaw 2022-16, being a bylaw to establish the tax ratios for the year 2022, be read at first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. Again, this is a yearly bylaw to establish the final tax rates for 2022. If you go for the estimates, municipal purposes will be levying 5,198,090 for the municipality, which is an increase of 100,924 from the previous year. This is a tax levy increase of 1.98%. And for the tax rate increase, it's going to be a 1.42% tax rate increase due to the changes in assessment. For the education purposes, we're levying $1,030,536. These education rates are established by the province, and the rates have not changed from last year. For the OPP fee at 4.2.1, the OPP fees are going to be decreasing by $3.12 per household. And for the OPP fee for vacant property, it will decrease by $1.04. So the OPP fee per household will be $247.28. And the OPP fee per vacant property is $82.43. The sewer fees have not changed. And the due dates for the property taxes are going to be August 24th, 2022 and September 28th, 2022, which is the fourth Wednesday of the month.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-17, being a bylaw to provide for the adoption of the current estimates and tax rates and to further provide for penalty and interest in default of payment thereof for the year 2022, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Yeah, just Mark, just how much outstanding taxes are still in arrears at this point, and the 1.2% rate that's going to be imposed, is that the same as last year's, or when was the last time we increased that penalty?
The 1.25% per month?
Or yes,
Yes, it's the same percentage as last year, and the same percentage that's
Oh, is it,
that's
Rob?
established by the province.
okay. And what's the outstanding amount at this point of tax arrears?
Well, right now, with the interim taxes have been levied, so it's hard to, but there's been a reduction at year end anyways, for December 31st, about 200 and some $200,000.
Oh, nice. Okay. So they're catching up.
Yeah.
Ugh. 6.3, Public Works and Environmental Services. 6.3.1, the Chair's Report, Public Works Advisory Committee. I believe that's Dave.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. We had a short meeting on, what was the date again there? March 23rd. The only item for discussion we had was a review of Public Works winter operations that we had for this winter. So staff provided us with an overview of winter operations for the 2021-2022 season. The overview consisted of plowing, sanding events, and sidewalk snow lifts. Staff shared with committee members the minimal number of requests for service that were received over the winter months. And the ones that were received were often Blue Jay Hill. Staff updated committee members on current operations pertaining to frozen culverts and stats, and operations will be available through the department quarterly report, which will be released in April. So we'll know how many culverts were frozen and steamed in April. And that was pretty much it for that, but we had a roundtable discussion, which included the spring and summer operations like street sweeping, timelines, pothole patching, brushing, calcium application, capital road rehabilitation for this year. And we also talked about, well, staff also talked about maybe buying a third plow truck. And it was also said that maybe contracting that out for an extra plow truck would be maybe better. So we're gonna maybe look at both options. That's pretty much the meeting.
Does anybody have any questions for Dave? Seeing none. 6.3.2, the Chair's Report of the Environmental Advisory Committee, which is Bob.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. We met on February 24th at 6 p.m. We had general discussions about the waste management bylaw. We had questions which were answered by staff. And we're recommending that the bylaw be, the amendments be presented to council for approval. I'm just going to ask Kevin if there's something you wanted to add on this, on the waste management bylaw.
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. No, there's nothing like that right now. That's next council meeting, we'll be bringing the waste management forward.
Okay, thank you. We had a good discussions regarding the our new curbside recycling pickup, which starts on Thursday, May 12th is the tentative schedule, and I think that's the closer we get, it gets to be a harder date. We talked about education and the rollout of the bins themselves, and we had a good discussion on that. We talked, brought forward April 22nd, Earth Day. Friday, April 22nd will be Earth Day. We had some good discussions. We felt that we needed to prepare more, so we called a special meeting on March 30th to discuss Earth Day and to what we were going to do. So I'll be going into that later. We had a roundtable discussion about recycling. about the way people recycled, about the clear plastic bags that a lot of people didn't know. And generally, a very good discussion. I'm just going to ask Councillor Dave and Councillor Dean, which are on that committee, if there's anything they wanted to add on this meeting. You're okay? Okay, thank you. And we adjourned at 6:54 with homework of going home and thinking about Earth Day. Yes, Councillor Dave.
Actually, I did have one question. It's not exactly pertaining to that, but are we gonna try and do another meeting just before Earth Day to try and wrap this up? I know there's no scheduled meeting, but
Good question. If we see the need of it, or I'm sure we can.
just to get organized a little bit more
Yes.
last minute.
Okay, Councillor Randy?
Through you, Madam Chair. Bob, Councillor Bob, I see here in the 4.2 under the curbside recycling pilot project launch update that we're saying that the staff has updated its launch date of Thursday, May the 12th, 2022, and that there's a calendar coming out. Would Kevin like to expand on that a little bit more for the public's knowledge while they're here today?
Sure, through you, Madam Chair. So online on our Waste Wizard, we're gonna have an online calendar that's gonna show all the collection dates. And therefore, anybody on the route will be able to put in their email address or contact number or the telephone number. And if there's ever a delay in service, they will be notified through that. So they'll always know when it is. Ours is pretty easy because it's every second week, but just so it's there and everybody has access at all times.
So we're prepared for the March 12th launch date, and we got the bins in stock yet? Have they come in, or are we still waiting for those?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have everything. Plan is Friday. Hopefully I'll be on the road with a couple other staff, and we'll be going door to door, dropping them off with packages for recycling and all the information everybody's going to need. And I'll actually be stopping in anybody who does have questions house to house, and I'll be able to answer all that from there.
Thanks. It's really nice to see the project coming to fruition. I think it's going to be a great benefit to the community as long as we get buy-in. You know, it's always the temptation to bring the recycling in with your trash, but I think that we'll get better sort, better quality recyclables going out, and less waste and less cost to the municipality if we actually stick with the curbside service as planned. So thanks, Kevin.
Okay, I have Councillor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought perhaps it might be useful to say, for the benefit of the public, we don't normally have this much public attending our meetings. It's delightful to see. But I wonder that everyone knows that this curbside recycling is quite limited. We're not doing the whole municipality at this point. So if anyone has any questions about that, we should perhaps enlarge on it. But we're mostly starting out in this initial pilot project to try curbside recycling in the more, and I use the term loosely, urban areas. So that's really the villages of Noelville and Albin, and a couple of the roads that are close by that have a fairly high density of residences. So I just don't want everybody to think that we're starting to curbside recycle throughout the whole municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean, for letting people, giving an update on that. Does anybody else have questions? No? So are we all in favor? We don't need for that. 6.3, a resolution to award the contracted grader.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I'm not quite done. No. No, we had our a second meeting on March 30th to discuss Earth Day itself. We had lots of great ideas. They were all thrown together in a bowl and mixed up and came back up, and staff did a great job of reporting on it. And since then, we have, excuse me here. There we are. Our plans are on for Earth Day of having two information booths, one here in Noelville at the Foodland and one in Alban at the community center, probably on the east side of the community center where the bins are located. We'll probably set up a little tent there with a table, have two people manning the tables. We will be making a schedule this week of, we would like to have one staff member and one committee member, council member. So I'll be doing, I learned from our great leader you'll probably be voluntold. And there we will be giving out information. We will have our new bins on display. We will have mapping of what Councillor Dean alluded to, mapping of the areas that will be picked up. We'll try and get as much information there about our new recycling program. We have reached out. We will have information, and I'm going to ask Councillor Dean. I know he reached out to former Councillor Garbett here regarding seedlings that Councillor Dean.
Thank you, Bob. I did call Ron today, and as usual, he is come forth. And I told him that we're thinking of trying to get into the schools. And it was the committee's thoughts and the committee decision that would be a good idea to work with the children if we can on Earth Day. So we're going to try to be at the two elementary schools in particular, and perhaps the high school, but especially the elementary. And one of the projects we want to do is be able to provide seedlings. So Ron talked to his contacts at Valley and has asked for up to 300 of these seedlings. And the person in charge said that he's an environmentalist and he's all for trying to help as much as he can with this project to get seedlings out that we can then give to the children in the schools and encourage them to take some home, get their parents to help and plant them. So we think that nothing can sort of be more representative of Earth Day than planting more trees. And for a lot of reasons, but carbon and so forth, and everybody's heard it all, so I'm not going to enlarge on it, but that's the project we have with the schools. And then Bob has outlined our public presentations at here in Noelville and in Alban, where we're going to try to reach the public on our recycling and any other issues that we can bring up to sort of make Earth Day sound like a worthwhile time for people to think about and spend some time with. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. Also, I have reached out to Councillor Randy, and through the Lions, they will be giving out seedlings or trees sometime in May also. We're going to get some kind of flyer done on that day to give people who they can contact through the Lions if they want more trees to be planted throughout our beautiful municipality. Also at these information booths, we will be running through the help of staff. We'll be running our two recycling videos that we have. So they'll be running all day in the entrance lobby of the Foodland, and we'll MacGyver something in Alban, for lack of a better term. We will also get, staff will prepare a sheet, a fact sheet of the municipality recycling, how much recycling is done, how much garbage gets mixed up with it, the lifespan of our dump, how much it's costing the taxpayers if we don't recycle, all kinds of juicy little tidbits like this. Of course, we will have, as Kevin mentioned a while ago, the bins are in. We'll have a couple on display. I think the more we put them out there and we show them, the better it's going to be. The video, we'll have the mapping. We do have some of the posters and the magnetic fridge recycling do's and don'ts. It's no use keeping him here in the closet. We'll try and push him out there as much as possible. Councillor Dean alluded to it. Education is through the kids, through the schools, seedlings. Jennifer, one of our committee members, has great ideas. She has built a robot out of recycling products. She has contests. She's bringing all these forward, and she'll be spearheading this. Alban, sorry if I'm so long. On that day, we'll probably go 10 to 4 in Alban and probably 10 to 6 here in Noelville. Again, weather permitting, and I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. Again, you'll be asked to volunteer a few hours and give information out. And Madam Chair, I am done.
Thought it was a short meeting.
Okay, does anybody have any more questions for Bob?
I
Thank you,
think it's going to
Bob.
be a great day. We'll
Yeah, you guys should certainly worked hard at it. Councillor Randy.
Not so much a question, but just thanks, Bob, for stepping in and taking over the environmental committee. You're doing a really great job. And we can see the hard work that you're putting into the committee, and just thank you very much.
thank you. No problem.
Okay. So now we're going to move forward to 6.3.3, a resolution to award the contracted grader services contract. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dave and Councillor Randy.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that council awards the contracted grader services contract to French River Contracting Limited for a 3-year term with an optional 1-year renewal term for the hourly rates of 110 for the years 2022, 2023, 115 for 2024 and 2025 plus HST.
Does anybody have any questions? Councillor Randy?
Thank you. Madam Chair. Mark, can you just refresh my memory what last year's rate was? I mean, inflation and the price of fuel is climbing really quickly. So I mean, we want to lock this in. It's really good. I'm pretty sure it's almost the same rate, isn't it?
It was $95 an hour.
Even still, that's for the cost of fuel increase. Yeah, we better lock it in quick. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none. All in favor? Okay, 6.3.4, a resolution to award the purchase of a motor grader. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Dave and Councillor Richard.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that council awards the purchase of a motor grader to Brand Tractor Limited for an amount of 446,000 plus applicable taxes.
Does anybody have questions? Councillor Dave?
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I guess this question is for Bob. I'm just curious on the Komatsu, what didn't meet the requirements that we had?
They could not meet the motor size that we required.
Thank you.
Councillor Randy?
Through you, Madam Chair, the price of the John Deere and the Caterpillar graders both come in with about $3,000 worth of difference. Dave and I spoke about the quality of the machinery on both. Cost of repair over the lifetime of the machine, is there a preference, and why did we choose John Deere, or was it only based on price that we've decided to go this way?
Well, price is always one of the factors, but the fact that we already have a John Deere grader, most of the parts are the same. So it just makes it easier for keeping stock for both graders.
Okay, thank you. That's a good answer.
Okay, Mayor Peschel.
Bob, when is it going to arrive? Because I know with COVID, everything's delay.
We don't have a timeline until we can give them a PO. We can't really get a firm date. So tomorrow we'll be giving them a purchase order and then we'll have a firm date.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? Okay, seeing none, are we all in favor? It was on budget? A little bit under, that's really good. Okay, so 6.4, recreation and community services. I'll just give a little blurb. We did meet, we discussed a lot of things, but we didn't have quorum, so we couldn't vote on anything. So we will be meeting again, and hopefully by our next meeting, we'll be able to bring some of our recommendations to council. So 6.5, emergency and protection services. 6.5.1, resolution to adopt the responsible animal ownership bylaw, a new bylaw to regulate, license, and control animals. And I believe Kevin will speak to this.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I'd just like to read a report about the consultation period and a couple quick notes. Report and the draft responsible animal ownership bylaw, formerly known as the animal control bylaw, was presented to council on March 2nd. The day following the presentation of the report, a notice of the proposed changes to the bylaw was posted on the website and social media for public to have the opportunity to comment until March 31st. Throughout the public consultation period, we have identified some areas that needed amendments brought forward from the public concerns. Staff is satisfied that these changes will improve the proposed bylaw. The amendments are as follows. Dog daycare and grooming facilities have been added to definitions, and guidelines for time limitations have been addressed. This is just to give those businesses an opportunity to work within this bylaw because it was overlooked before. Dog daycare and grooming facilities inspections for animal welfare just gives us the opportunity for bylaw enforcement to ensure that they are being treated properly as they are in their facilities. Cat limitation extended from 3 to 5. And that was just going with standard across the board for most municipalities in Ontario. Dog tags clarification. This is just another clarification that you don't need to have your dog tag on your dog while it's in your own yard or property. It's just unrealistic to ask people to do that. So that just clarifies that. So if they're off your property, you need to have it. We added exemptions for dog limits for new residents. If you move into the area and you have an existing amount of dogs, it gives you a time limit to register those dogs. So you can have over the 3 limit dogs, and it'll give you until the time of the passing, or you get rid of the dogs, and then you'll stick to 3 under the bylaw. Also, for temporary pet sitting. So if you were to have, say, a family member go away and you already have 3 dogs, and you could look after their dogs for 14 days without falling under this. And it gives group lodges, hotels, trailer parks exemptions, so that obviously they're going to have an over 3 dog limit. So also just like to bring the council's attention, we did have 21 emails submitted about the consultation, 16 of which were specifically directed towards shutting down Ren's Canine bed and bath, and did not reference the actual bylaw. I'd just like to be clear, we have no intention of shutting down Ren's Canine, and have every intention of working with the owner to bring the standards of her facility up to ensure the health and well-being of all animals in her care. These modifications will not be a significant financial burden to the owner, and she will be given a very reasonable timeline to complete these upgrades. The other emails received were all in support of the bylaw through the public consultation. And visiting Ren's Canine, we found a need to modify a couple of these amendments. So that's why this is here. So
Okay, and I'm just gonna take a moment. We did read all the emails that people did send in, even the ones that were sent in today. So all the counselors did receive those. Do any of the counselors have any questions on any of the amendments? Counselor Dave?
Thank you through you, Madam Chair. I'm looking at well, I have a couple actually notes in all of them, but at 2.6 daycare facility means a premises that offers care and housing of dogs for profit for a period of no more than 10 days in any 24-hour period per dog. For the purpose of this bylaw, and daycare facility is not considered to be a kennel. So in here, does this mean no more than 3 dogs under this line, or it doesn't, there's no limit?
Yeah, there's no limit because they're operating a business, right? So as long as it's not an overnight establishment where they would have to kennel them and have them in crates and follow those guidelines. If you're just operating a business, you know, like obviously you'd be able to do that. So.
Okay.
After.
Okay, so at 3.23, notwithstanding the provisions contained in section 315, lodges, hotels, motels, and trailer parks may harbor more than the permitted number of dogs, so long as the owner of the lodge, hotel, motel, or trailer park only owns the permitted number of dogs, and every dog owned by the owner of the lodge, hotel, motel, or trailer park is licensed. So I'm assuming this means like every, let's say, room or cabin or household, basically. Is that, so they're all allowed their 3 dogs, all these rooms?
Through you, Madam Chair. So what it's stating is like the owner of the property can have, like, has to follow the 3 dog limit.
Yeah.
But people that come to stay, you know, if whatever they bring in, it's obviously up to the owner of the operation to like,
limit.
to limit what they want in their establishment, but it's just referencing that if, say, there was a dog show in town and let's use the Beau Jour, for example, was the only hotel, like everybody could stay there if they allow dogs, and that's under their control, so the owner's control.
Number 4.2, every person who keeps a dog which normally resides outside or which is kept outside supervised for extended periods of time shall ensure the dog is provided with a house or shelter sufficient to allow the dog ability to run freely and lie in a normal position. And they'll provide protection from an outdoor elements appropriate for the dog weight and type of coat. An exercise area run, minimum area of 50 square feet. Okay, this is just for outside dogs, right?
Through Madam Chair, yes. That's
Okay,
just
I read that wrong, sorry. 4.7, no person shall cause or allow a dog to be muzzled unless it's in immediate care and control of the owner. So I've had instances where I went to the vet, like there's no vet here, but I went to the vet, and because of COVID, my dog had to be muzzled, but I couldn't be with him. And like this says, it has to be in control of the owner.
through you, Madam Chair. I'm assuming like if you were to pass it off to a veterinarian, right, like they would be in control of that animal, you'd be giving them control.
I guess that's
But,
immediate care.
But yeah, it's, you can't just leave, it's so people don't muzzle their dog and leave them alone because they can be harmed by it. It's just standard like dog care across like the country.
3.23, notwithstanding the provisions contained in section 315, lodges, hotels, no, I read that one. 5.2, kennels shall be managed and operated by the property owner on which the kennel is located, and the kennel operator manager shall reside on the subject property. So when I read that, it sounds like only a property owner can have a kennel, not like you can't rent a building to do that, or you can't lease, or you can't have, like, let's say I have a kennel and I'm not there, but I have hired staff. The way this sounds, it's like it's only the property owner that can do it?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so all we're trying to do is make sure that somebody doesn't buy a lot somewhere, an empty lot, puts a kennel on it around a bunch of neighbors and is not there to care for the animals, and they're just left alone to bark and nobody's there or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Take care of. So, and that's all that is put there for. If you were the leasee of the land, then that would be fine, right?
Okay. As long as it doesn't stop, like if, let's say I have a kennel and I want to leave for a week, will I have somebody hired to take care of it? That's still okay, right?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so that would be fine. You'd be approved through the kennel license application. It's
Okay.
just
5.5A, a list of all dogs to be kept on the subject property, noting verification of current rabies vaccination for each dog except where they're under 3 months of age. Is this for the owner's dogs? Or it's
through you,
just for the
Madam
ones
Chair.
that are being,
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, if I can answer that. So it's just so if they have a record of animals coming out just through their facility for the kennel facility.
Mhm.
If one of them has rabies and bites somebody or gets in trouble, they have a record of it, right? So
Yeah.
they know it's just to keep standard vaccination policy.
that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, Counselor, thank you, Dave. Counselor Bob?
Through you, Madam Chair, a question to Kevin. We're talking kennels here. Do we have any licensed kennels here in our municipality at the present moment?
Through you, Madam Chair, to answer your question, no, we don't have a kennel bylaw, so.
Thank you.
Counselor Richard?
Through you, Madam Chair, just a quick question. So 2.6 daycare facility. So how do you differentiate a daycare and a kennel? You're saying 10 hours out of 24. So if a dog is left overnight for 10 hours, how do you differentiate that from a daycare and a kennel?
Through you, Madam Chair, it says per dog, so like if it's a 10-hour allotment, if you're gonna like watch a dog for the day as a daycare. So if you work, I guess if you work nights and someone were to watch your dog overnight, it would still like, it's just daycare, so that's all. We're just giving room for people to still run businesses and not hinder them, but just still have, this is a responsible animal ownership bylaws to make sure that the animals are being taken care of. This is all the intent of this bylaws. It's not to hinder businesses, so we're trying to make lots of room for that.
Counselor Randy?
Through you, Madam Chair, just a question about Schedule B, which is the user fees on the bottom on the impound fee, $50 a day for up to 3 days. Kevin, can you answer where we're going to impound the dogs? Who's going to hold them for us? And then what happens after the 3 days, please?
Through you, Madam Chair. That's in case we do have a kennel pop up in the area and we were able to do that. As of right now, we don't. We do bring them straight to North Bay. But now that we do have a kennel license and somebody was willing to have a kennel here, then we could enforce these. So that's all.
Anybody else have? So I think I'm just gonna give a comment. Okay, can I give my comment first? Okay, so I think we do have a big issue in our area with dogs, a lot of loose dogs, a lot of dogs tied up in yards, and the people aren't even living there, and these dogs are, you know, out in the yard, tied up. They're there for a week at a time, sometimes 2 weeks at a time, and we can't really do much of that, of anything right now. So I think that's why we've revised a lot of these laws. We also have a lot of people who are breeding dogs and selling dogs, not doing it legally. So it's unfortunate that, you know, we have to revise our bylaw on this, but there is a big need for a revisitation. I think that if a person has 3 dogs in their house, they have a lot of dogs. Personally, I don't think we should be allowed to have 6 or 7 in a home. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think it's good that, you know, we're adjusting the original bylaw that we have so that we can control a lot of the loose animals that are out there and the ones that are being neglected, because like everybody else, we do see the comments of, you know, these dogs are tied up in the yard. They're all over Facebook. People are complaining, do something. Right now, we can't do much of anything because a lot of these dogs don't have tags, or we pick them up and next thing you know, they're right back at there and they're right, you know, people are have properties here and they're from down south and they leave their dogs out. These dogs are having more dogs. So, and cats, the same thing. So I think we've worked hard on this. So that's just my opinion, but just wanted to, thanks for really looking over the bylaw and working, and we're trying to make it fair for everybody. And we know some people do follow the rules and, you know, do work really hard and offer great services. We're not trying to discourage them in any way. We're trying to work with them. And like Kevin said, there is a time allowment for them to, you know, follow all the rules and put the rules in place. We don't expect this to happen overnight, but you know, they do have like 10 months, I believe, 10 to a year to, you know, to work with us. And I know they've been out to Ren's, which has been one of the biggest concerns. All our emails are about Ren's Pet Shop or doggy daycare. I know she offers a great service, not a service we want to lose. She also has some rules. All her dogs have to be, you know, they have to have their shots. They have to have this, they have to have that. She has her own rules, which are good. But, and she has reached out to Kevin and they have spoken a few times. So we do want the service to continue. We did not say she was a kennel. I mean, so, but anyways, so that's my remark. Counselor Dave and then Bob.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So I just want to point out to everybody, just for everybody's information, Kevin and our bylaw officers and whoever else is working on this as staff, nobody's personally attacking anybody. This is their job to find the information that's provided by the healthcare and all these Ontario or federal based things. And they just put it down on paper. They can't make up these laws. They're doing researches and they're putting it on paper. So that's their job. So they're not pointing to anybody for a personal attack. But I think it's our job to make sure that it fits within the municipality as council. And I think we're getting very close to where it needs to be, or close, or maybe we're there. I'm not sure exactly if we're right there, but we're close, I think.
Mayor Peugeot.
Just want to make a couple comments. This bylaw is not meant to be punitive to any businesses, not only Ren's. And I'm a huge supporter of Ren's Kennels, as people know. When I had my grand dog live with me in the summers, it was Tara that groomed them, that took care of them. She did it with compassion and a lot of love. In saying this, we are not out to get Tara. That is not the purpose. However, there are rules and regulations to help the municipality work with animal protection. We have to protect those that need our help. And this bylaw is meant to be protective, not punitive. Kevin and Riley both met with Tara. I thought that went very, very well. I believe Councillor Randy was there. I know there's a number floating around, and the elephant's in the room, that it's going to cost her $30,000 to bring it up to snuff to meet this new bylaw. There's nothing furthers from the truth. about that. She will have to make some renovations, but they will not be as onerous as what's been going on and circulating in the municipality. Tara is an absolutely wonderful keeper of dogs. The kennel part is new to the bylaw, and the bylaw will clearly state that anybody over 3 dogs will be considered a kennel. And then we'll have to follow certain rules in order to protect the animals. It's not meant to be punitive, it's meant to be protective. And I think that if we keep that in mind, I think that we can work together. Both Kevin and Riley have made it clear to Tara that they're prepared to work with her. When this bylaw passes, it doesn't mean that Tara has to close down her doors. That's another untruth that is going around. The municipality, through Kevin and through Riley, will work with her to make sure that she's successful. So we are not here to hurt her or to shut her business down. We're here to work with her, as not provided that there is compliancy. And so rest assured, it is not our intent to make sure to close her down, and she will not have to close down, not with these new bylaw.
Okay, Counselor Bob.
To you, Madam Chair, a question to Kevin. I know, and I can't get to it. My tablet is frozen here. I believe Schedule A, vicious dogs. There's a list, and there's pit bulls in there, and this is the new bylaw. What I want to know, if we have any pit bulls right now in our municipality and they get registered with this new bylaw, will they be grandfathered in? Because I believe that schedule, we're not allowing them.
Through you, Madam Chair, just to answer your question. These would not be grandfathering anything because they fall under DOLA, which is a provincial guideline, and that's been in place for well over 15 years. So any pit bull that would have been grandfathered in DOLA would have passed away by now. So none of those dogs would be alive and current.
They will not be grandfathered in.
No, that's provincial legislation. We can't control that in any way. It's just referenced here and we enforce it. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And I must mention that I wanted the schedule gives and I apologize again, a whole list of animals that are covered under these bylaws. And I must say, we looks like the bylaw will allow lizards and snakes over 2 meters. I'm sorry, I don't want them in the municipality, be it what they are. If it's a 2-meter snake that is not native to our landscape, I don't want them. Thank you, I must say it.
Counselor Randy.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, and the venomous animals, the scorpions too, I felt were, probably should have been put on the no-fly list. But anyways, just to speak to the public too on this, I personally attended at Ren's request the day the bylaw officers came. Kevin and went through and demonstrated to Ren, and I'm a client of Ren's, have used her for a long time and really appreciate the service. Demonstrated to Ren that the upgrades were fairly minimal, a couple screens on 2 windows and some linoleum flooring. Kevin was very adamant that he would work with Ren or with Tara. And, I really feel genuinely that the municipality is not going to take away a business. We're going to work with her, and I genuinely believe that that's the interest of everybody here, just to keep the business going. But having said that, there does need to be a bylaw in place that does control other issues and sets a limit for this purpose so that the animal receives the best care. So that being said, thank you.
Counselor Richard.
Thank you. Through you. I guess any rules, doesn't matter if it's animal rules or anything, rules like that. I mean, we're setting rules in order to set a guideline, and we're not here to set a guideline based on one one operation, just like any guideline. Is it meant to be, be done based on one business, and then we try to do the guidelines based on that one business. But then again, if we're going to do bylaws based on one business, then it'd be kind of hard to do stuff. But what I'm getting at is that Mayor Pajot said a while ago, I mean, this isn't meant to be punitive. It's meant to be proactive and be growing in the right direction. But the one thing I want to say too is, although that the business that's been the discussion for the last several weeks, I mean, from what I heard, I mean, I'm hearing it's done very well. But what if another company down the road isn't as professional as the one we have now, and we don't have any standards? So that's the purpose of why we're doing this. So we're not here to be penalizing anybody. We're just trying to set some good guidelines. That's all. Thank you.
Mark, did you have something to say?
Just for the public's information, when Kevin uses the acronym DOLA, it's the Dog Owners Liability Act. Just in case people are wondering.
Dean, any comments or questions from you, or put your mic on?
I'm going to keep my comments very limited. I'm going to say it's an extensive bylaw. It seems to cover about everything you can think of with having a dog or a cat. And I'm kind of thinking that a lot of people will take a look at this bylaw and say, I don't want either one. I guess we had dogs for years and years and years and weren't subject to any of this. And it was easy to have a dog. As long as he wasn't harassing anybody else or biting anybody else. But now it's a comprehensive bylaw, and I guess it kind of indicates that we're no longer a rural municipality. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, do any of the public want to speak? You guys can go up to the mic right there. You have to go up to the mic, to the podium. Yep, and put the mic on so that the people that are watching online can listen and hear you.
Thank you. It is wonderful that you have this list of bylaws. And I'm glad that there is a bylaw officer. It's about time. I know when I resided in Noelville and I had property in Noelville, there were issues and we did not know who to go to. So I'm just thrilled. And when Dean Wenborn says that, you know, there was no problem previously, some owners are very, very responsible. But I can tell you a few horror stories about people who resided beside somebody who had possibly 2 dogs and they could not leave their property. And I know one man who actually, he wore a cap and I didn't know that he was completely bald. He had not been bald previously. He took off his hat one day and he was totally bald. I said, what happened? And apparently his neighbor's dog had been giving him such aggravation and woe that his body reacted and he lost all his hair, alopecia, and it was stress. And it was because of a couple of dogs. So I just commend you. And yeah, I think like if everybody were responsible, it wouldn't be necessary to have laws. But thank you very much for addressing it. And I hope that you don't get discouraged and move out of the area or quit your job. That's all.
Anybody else want to go up and have a comment for us, or? Woody, everybody,
Come on, please.
we're here to answer the questions, and I know some have some questions about it. No, we're good. Okay, so are we ready to pass the resolution? Mel, do you have a resolution? So I need a mover and a seconder, Counselor Randy and Counselor Bob.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be it resolved that bylaw 2022-13 being a bylaw to regulate, license, and control animals. So it also known as Responsible Animal Ownership Bylaw, be read at first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All in favor? Okay. We have a resolution to adopt an amendment to the fees and related charges bylaw to add fees to the reasonable animal ownership bylaw fee schedule. Is Kevin speaking to this or Mel?
I can-
Mel will?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So there's no changes to the fees. So for the annual licensing, the only fee amendment is the addition of the kennel fee license per year and, and the changes to the impoundment fee, as Kevin spoke to already.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, seeing none, I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Dave and Counselor Dean.
It is duly moved and seconded. Be resolved that bylaw 2022-18, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-22, a bylaw to set fees and related charges set out by the municipality of French River. So we're only amending Schedule B, which is for the responsible animal ownership bylaw. Be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All in favor? 6.6, building and planning and development, there's none. 7, correspondence. Did we receive any correspondence other than regular mail? No. Okay, seeing none. We have number 8, the consent agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Dave and Counselor Randy.
Duly moved and seconded. Resolved that council approves the items of the consent agenda under section 8.1 and receives the items under section 8.2.
All in favor? Okay. Number 9, items from the separate agenda. There is none. Number 10, notices. No notices and announcements. I guess we're gonna start with Randy. Want to go first?
I got a good one. So
Okay.
I thought I better go first before everybody else because it involves the municipality. It's a really good announcement that I have to make today. I this week earlier on Monday was able to shadow Minister Rickford in Sudbury as he came to town to make some announcements on behalf of the province for funding. And one was related to the French River. I stood in behalf of the mayor that day. So the provincial government has graciously given $105,395 that's going to go to the Council Scolaire Public de Grand Nord de l'Ontario to build a French River Youth Economic and Community Development Center here. So it was a really great honor to receive that on behalf of the municipality, and it's going to help youth, become engaged. So I'm really impressed by it. So that's my news.
That's really good news. Okay. Anybody else want to go next? Mayor Peugeot.
Again, I just want to remind everybody, if you can, on Sunday, the Rapids will be playing. So hopefully a lot of us can show up and go. The Alban seniors are having their luncheon at the community center again on Friday. Doors open at 11 o'clock. And I want to thank Randy for stepping in to go to that announcement because I just couldn't make it with the surgery and that. So thank you. And that was a project that the Conseil had come to us about. I thought it was sooner than that, but once we went over the stuff, it's about 2 years ago. So this is a project that it's been going on for a while. So it's nice to see more monies being filtered into our province, and it is much appreciated. So.
And I apologize for my French translation, but I'll get better as time goes on.
Okay. All right. And I think that's all I had because I've been away. So I just
Okay.
got back.
Councillor Bob.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And that's a great announcement. Like you said, Mayor, anytime we can get provincial or federal money, and it seems like a great project. I imagine this will be channeled through the school and, yeah, okay. And just my second thing is Sunday night and Monday night, both at 7, game number 3, game number 4, go Rapids, go.
Counselor Richard? You're good. Counselor Dean?
I'm just gonna make a comment about what the runoff is like and what we might expect in the way of water. And we're supposed to get a lot of rain tonight, and I guess it has started a little bit. On my way here, it was raining a little bit, but we certainly had a lot of melt today. We had the warmest day I think we've had since October here. And it was well received, and I just saw the snow at home just disappearing today. And but there is a lot of snow in the upper part of the watershed and a lot of water content in it too. We just were looking at that the other day. And if we should get a lot of rain with the remaining amount of snow, we could get more water than we might like all of a sudden. They've kind of warned us a little up at the dams at Lake Nipissing, but at the present time, they still have a fair amount of room in the lake. So we'll hope that whatever they get, they can absorb most of it rather than letting it down the river. On Dry Pine Bay on the main channel, we've got moderate water levels now, but not real high. So nothing to be concerned about at this point. But we'll hold our breath and see what happens, because we're at the peak time for whatever is going to happen with water levels and runoff. I'll leave it at that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sunday, I'm leaving for a conference to Toronto for OGRA, Ontario Good Roads Association. So I'll be reporting on that at the next meeting. And I'm right into maple syrup season with my neighbor doing the same. Thank you.
Counselor Bob?
Sorry, I'd just like to mention, since we do have more public than usual, April 22nd, Earth Day. If anyone has ideas or thoughts on, please reach out to me or to any member of council. They'll get back to us, and anything that we can do to help our municipality, to help our district, to help Mother Earth, please. Thank you.
So for me, well, I like seeing the beautiful weather. That means planting's around the corner. So I know a lot of people have started their seeds in the house. So that's kind of exciting. Church bingo on Sunday. We haven't had one of those in a while. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. They do have a penny sale and stuff going on too. So, and I think they have sandwiches for lunch. So just your old fashioned kind of a bingo. For those that want to attend, very excited about the Rapids. I'm a big hockey fan, so it's nice to see a good hockey game. Yeah, and just like I said, to report a little bit on we have a lot of things planned for the recreation committee for the area. We talked a little bit about the park going up at Joe Chartrand. We talked about the trails. We talked about Canada Day. We talked about the music instruments going up in Alban. So the beach in Alban. We flower pots going up again on the posts, and many different projects that we have going on in the area. So thank all our volunteers that are, working hard to make good things happen. And that's about it. Enjoy spring. And I believe this probably be the last weekend at the Sugar Bush for, I know Security Seguin, they've had a few tours open up this year. They've been busy on the weekends. Saw quite a few pictures out there. It's been going good for them. So that's good to see. And that's it. That's all for me.
Just a quick note, the Minor Hockey Association is hosting the Pee Wee Championships for the Nickel District Hockey League this weekend. I just thought I'd mention that. So anybody who's interested in seeing our future hockey players in action, they'll be at the arena Saturday and Sunday.
All right. Anybody in the audience have anything, any comments, anything fascinating? Yes, go ahead. You can stand right there if you want. Oh, he has to go to the mic? Oh, yes.
This is when my wife usually shudders when I talk. You're talking about your recycling program. You're going to pick up the recycling, but not everywhere. So I refuse to buy big plastic bags to put my recycling in, to put it in the recycle container. And my berry recycling bucket is getting very busted and cracked. And if I go in there and Kevin doesn't know who I am, and I'm carrying a bucket that says Berry Recycles, he's gonna say, you're not from this municipality. Why doesn't everybody get a recycling bucket?
We have a pilot program at the present time.
Right.
Let me back up a little bit. The purpose of this, of our effort now, is to see if we can teach people a little more about how to recycle. Our problem has been in the past where they were recycling in the bins, is that we get too much contamination in the recycling. And by that, I mean, articles are put in the recycling bin that are not recyclable, and then that contaminates it, and it's, instead of the stuff going to the recycler, it goes to the landfill. And we're really determined to try to avoid putting stuff in the landfill as much as we possibly can. If we can recycle it, we save space in the landfill. We have a limited life on our landfill. And believe me, if we should ever have to get to the point where we look for a new one, it would be very, very difficult and very expensive.
You're missing my point, Dean. When I go to the recycling and Riley comes over and we talk, and he's looking what I'm throwing it in the container to make sure that it's correct. He's doing his job.
Yeah.
Why does everybody in Albin get a container and I don't?
No, everybody in Albin is not, well, I think most of the homes in Albin are going to have
And Noelville.
have recycling or pickup, and same here. I forget the exact number. Kevin could tell us how many numbers of residences are actually going to be having a pickup for recycling. But the pilot project is just to see if we follow through with this, will the public play ball with us? Will the stuff that goes in those recycling bins be all able to be recycled as opposed to being in the landfill? And we know that it's going to take a little time, and people who don't play ball with us, they won't get their recycling picked up. It'll just be left there with a letter as to what's required for recycling.
You're missing my point. When I put my recycling in the container in Albin,
Yeah,
you open it up and there's black garbage bags, which shouldn't be in there.
yeah.
There's clear plastic bags that are full of recycling that, do they need to be in there?
No, they're not supposed to be. But this is something that the public is not aware of about those bags.
But if they had a container, they would probably use it.
I'm not sure. You mean, yeah, but how would it get picked up?
Thank you, sir, for your comment. I see where you're going with this. Your recycling will not be picked up because you're
No.
not in the urban area.
Which is fine.
And you're asking, why am I not getting a bin so I can use to be part of the solution? I have taken a note of it. I will bring it to our committee. Actually, I never thought of that. I'll tell you the truth. A person like you that wants to recycle and your recycling won't be.
When I
and you'll be bringing in, I'll bring it to committee.
when I go into my other township, I have a pass card that lets me into the recycling and garbage containers. And if I don't have that, I don't get in. Here, anybody can go in, but that's going to change, I'm hoping.
Oh, yeah.
But still, I think you should look into the containers. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. I have made a note of it for now.
As a matter of interest, I take my bag of recycling to the bin and then dump it in. I mean, I empty it at the bin, but I only learned myself within the last couple of months that I wasn't supposed to put the bag in. I didn't know that. And I don't think most people did know that. That's why you see the bags in there. Yeah, it somehow or other, I think we slipped up on educating the public on those, on the bags particularly. I've got my bag in a garbage can.
Counselor Randy?
And up until recently, last year, the plastic bag was recyclable and was only kicked out of the stream probably last summer sometime. So that's why people got used to putting it in the bags and recycling it that way. But since our provider has changed the resource stream and decided that it was, they would no longer accept plastic bags, it meant a change of habit for people that people aren't yet used to. But I agree with if you did provide a bin, then people would put them in the bin, carry the bin themselves to the dump site in Albin and transfer it that way and not dump the bags out. So, but it was done that way previously, and then there was a change of policy. So that's what led to that.
Counselor Richard?
Through you, thank you. Just to clarify, the intent is the pickup will basically give a better percentage of recycling and non-garbage. So when people are bringing their stuff to the bins, can't control that unless there's somebody standing there looking at them, but you can't do that 24/7, 365 days a year, not efficiently anyway. And then by picking it up, if you're somebody's picking it up and there's garbage there, they're not going to pick it up. So it ain't going to end up there, and we're not going to be dealing with garbage that's in the recycling bin. That's the intent of it. And by doing a pilot project with a certain percentage of the municipality, which is easier to do it than to go on Shaw Road and on Cherryman and other places that are more rural, we'll be able to get a better feel for it. That's the intent. I think that's what it is anyway.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's all we have to say. So we need a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Counselor Randy? Counselor Richard?
It is duly moved and seconded, be resolved that bylaw 2022-19 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Municipality of French River at a meeting held on April 6th, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
All in favor? Thank you guys all for coming out.
You got to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. Oh, a resolution to adjourn. Counselor Dave, Counselor Richard.